In a world where fate is woven into the stars, a nameless wanderer stood at the edge of a great precipice. A small satchel slung over their shoulder and a loyal dog at their heels, they gazed toward the horizon with eyes full of wonder. This was the Fool, one who knew nothing yet was willing to learn everything. With a deep breath, they took their first step forward. The ground beneath their feet was uneven, the path winding and uncertain. The dog barked playfully, dashing ahead and then circling back as if urging them onward. A cool breeze carried the scent of distant rain, rustling the wildflowers that lined the narrow trail. The Fool walked with no destination, only the promise of discovery. As the sun arched higher, they crossed a wooden bridge spanning a slow-moving river, its surface shimmering like polished glass. They paused for a moment, watching fish dart beneath the water, their movements as fluid as fate itself. The journey led them through rolling meadows and shadowed groves, where whispers of unseen creatures echoed through the trees. Though the path was unfamiliar, the Fool felt no fear, only curiosity. Each step was a question, and the world around them held countless answers waiting to be uncovered. As they stepped forward, a figure in robes appeared before them, holding a wand that shimmered with unseen power. The magician spoke.
All that you need lies within you. Will, creation, and the tools of transformation.
With a flick of his hand, the Fool saw the 4 sacred symbols, cup, sword, pentacle, and wand, dancing in the air. Awed but uncertain, they continued. The Fool continued along their path, the symbols from the magician's hand still dancing in their mind. The journey stretched on, the landscape changing as they walked. The wind whispered through the trees, and the sun dipped behind soft clouds, casting shadows that seemed to stretch with purpose. As they walked, the Fool's steps became more deliberate, as though guided by a force they couldn't quite name. The road ahead seemed to wind and twist with no clear direction, but the Fool felt drawn forward, as though something called to them. The air grew still as they neared a quiet grove, where a peaceful temple stood hidden beneath the boughs of ancient trees. There was an undeniable pull to the place, a sense of tranquility that settled over them as they approached. The temple was nestled among towering stone pillars, their surfaces etched with symbols of forgotten knowledge. The atmosphere was thick with the weight of time, a place untouched by the world beyond. At a quiet temple, a veiled woman beckoned. The High Priestess whispered,
"Seek within. Wisdom is hidden beneath the surface."
She placed a scroll in their hands, a mystery wrapped in riddles. The Fool's mind swam with questions, but before answers could come, they moved on. The path ahead shifted, and the Fool soon found themselves entering a vast, open hall. The air was rich with the scent of blooming flowers, and the light inside was warm, inviting. At the far end of the hall, upon a golden throne, sat a regal woman. Her robes flowed like rivers of emerald and gold, and her crown gleamed with the radiance of 1,000 stars. In a grand hall, a regal woman upon a throne greeted them. The Empress, lush and nurturing, radiated abundance.
"You must learn to grow,"
she said, placing a seed in their palm. "The world is fertile if you tend it with care." Beside her stood the Emperor, strong and unyielding.
"Without structure, there is only chaos,"
he declared.
"Discipline and order shape a kingdom, just as they shape the self."
The Fool nodded, realizing that rules had their place. The journey took the Fool further still, through windswept hills and across rivers that sparkled like jewels. Eventually, they arrived at a sacred temple, its ancient stone walls inscribed with symbols of wisdom and power. Inside, a bearded sage sat cross-legged upon a stone platform, his eyes wise and knowing. In a sacred temple, a bearded sage, the Hierophant, taught them the traditions of old.
"Knowledge passed down binds us to history,"
he explained. The Fool listened, but a spark of rebellion lingered in their heart. As the Fool continued their journey, the path became less clear, filled with tangled vines and winding roads. The air around them shifted, and a sense of duality began to grow, a pull between the old ways and the desire for something new. In the distance, they saw a clearing where the land seemed to open up into a vibrant garden, filled with the warmth of sunlight and the fragrance of blooming flowers. As the fool approached, two figures appeared in the center of the garden, standing close but not touching, as if their energies were perfectly intertwined. That spark ignited when they met the lovers. Two souls intertwined, their choice defining their path.
Follow your heart, but know it carries weight.
They were warned. Love, passion, and decision, these were now part of their story. As the fool moved forward, the path seemed to stretch endlessly before them. With each step, the landscape shifted, and the weight of their choices began to settle in their heart. The road grew more difficult, rocky and uneven, as though testing their resolve. But despite the challenges, the fool pressed on, feeling a newfound strength building within them. The journey had become more personal, and the fool felt the weight of each decision, yet the excitement of forging their own way kept their spirit alive. The road grew longer, and with it came the chariot, a warrior commanding wild horses.
Control your direction, and you shall triumph.
The fool grasped the reins of their own destiny and pressed onward. The journey was not without its challenges. The path grew steeper and more treacherous, but with each turn, the fool felt more determined, their grip on the reins steady as they steered through the obstacles. The wind howled, and the horses galloped faster, but the fool's focus remained sharp. They realized that their true strength lay not in rushing forward recklessly, but in balancing their force with control, choosing when to push and when to hold back. They soon encountered a woman, Strength, who tamed a lion with her gentle hands.
True power is not force, but patience and understanding.
Inspired, the fool moved forward with newfound resilience. Then came darkness. In a silent village, the hermit held a lantern.
Walk alone for a time. Seek the light within.
The fool took the path of solitude, contemplating all they had learned. Upon returning, they saw the wheel of fortune turning in the sky.
Fate shifts like the wind.
An unseen voice murmured. The fool realized that they must embrace the highs and lows alike. The road stretched ahead, and with each step, the fool felt a deeper understanding of the constant ebb and flow of life. The path wound through a vast landscape of rolling hills and valleys, where the land seemed to shift in rhythm with the turning wheel. The fool encountered moments of joy, where the sun shone brightly, and times of hardship, where the clouds gathered and the rain poured down. With each change, they found themselves adapting, learning to find balance in the ups and downs. It was a journey of acceptance, the realization that the wheel of fate would continue to turn, but it was how they responded to each moment that shaped their story. The fool moved forward, knowing that nothing was permanent and everything was a part of the cycle. They came upon a throne where justice sat, weighing a scale.
Every action has a consequence.
She intoned. The fool reflected, measuring their choices with care. The path ahead seemed clearer now, though no less difficult. The fool walked through a dense forest where each step seemed more deliberate, the air heavy with the weight of accountability. Along the way, they encountered travelers who shared their stories of decisions made and consequences faced. Some spoke of triumph, others of regret, but all had learned the importance of choosing wisely. As the fool continued, the journey became more introspective. With each mile, they found themselves reflecting on their own choices, the paths they had taken, and the balance between right and wrong. The wind whispered in the trees, urging them to consider not just the actions they would take, but the impact those actions would have on those around them. In the next village, a man hung upside down from a tree. The hanged man smiled.
Sacrifice grants perspective.
He mused. The fool saw the world anew, understanding that surrender could lead to wisdom. The journey ahead was quiet and reflective, the fool's mind still lingering on the lesson of perspective. As they walked, they encountered others who seemed to carry burdens of their own, but many had chosen to face their struggles with acceptance, releasing control and allowing life to unfold as it would. The fool felt the weight of this wisdom, the understanding that sometimes the greatest strength lay not in fighting against the current, but in allowing oneself to be carried by it. As they continued, the landscape grew darker, the air colder. the sky above seemed to shift, clouds swirling as though preparing for something unknown. The road became more uncertain, leading through dense, shadowed forests where each step felt heavier, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Then came death cloaked in black.
Fear not, for ending's birth beginnings.
The fool shuddered but stepped through the door of change, emerging reborn. As they moved forward, they encountered a tranquil river, its surface smooth and still. The sound of flowing water was soothing, and the fool felt an inner peace they hadn't known before. Crossing a stone bridge, they arrived at a peaceful garden where the air smelled of flowers and earth. The world felt balanced, calm, as if everything was in its rightful place. Through this rebirth, they encountered temperance, blending water between two chalices.
Balance is the key to all things.
The fool breathed deeply, finding harmony. The journey that followed was one of peace, a slow and steady rhythm, like the ebb and flow of the river that had guided them. The fool felt more attuned to the world around them, each step deliberate and in tune with their inner calm. They walked through fields where wildflowers swayed gently in the breeze, the sun warm on their skin. The path led to a quiet valley where the air was rich with the scent of earth and the sound of birds singing in the distance. But as the fool walked deeper into the valley, the atmosphere began to shift. The light dimmed, and the once peaceful surroundings grew darker, more oppressive. Shadows began to creep along the edges of the path, whispering temptations in the wind. The fool's heart quickened, sensing that something was not right. Suddenly, they came upon a clearing where figures stood shackled, their eyes hollow and vacant. In the center, the devil loomed, surrounded by chains that seemed to twist and writhe like living creatures. But temptation lurked. The devil chained souls in shadows.
Desire enslaves if left unchecked?
She whispered. The fool saw their own weaknesses and chose freedom. The fool and his dog, Sera, emerged from the devil's domain, walking beneath a storm-darkened sky. The air hums with tension. In the distance, a grand tower pierces the heavens, its pinnacle disappearing into the clouds. The fool gazes up, sensing its importance. But before they can take another step, the sky shatters with light. A massive bolt of lightning, white-hot and furious, strikes the tower's peak. The stone groans, then explodes. Fire erupts from the windows, the walls splitting as debris rains down. Distant screams echo as figures tumble from its great height, once proud, now lost to the flames. From the depths of night, the tower erupted in fire and ruin.
False foundations must crumble,
thundered the heavens. The fool fell but rose again, humbled and wiser. Through the smoke and ash, the fools stumbled forward, their body aching, their spirit shaken. The path ahead was uncertain, veiled in the remnants of destruction. Yet, as they walked, the wreckage gave way to silence, the chaos fading into a vast and empty expanse. The sky stretched endlessly above, its darkness speckled with distant stars. With each step, the fool felt a strange stillness settle over them. The ruins they had left behind no longer weighed so heavily. The road became smooth, the air crisp and cool, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Then, in the distance, a gentle glow emerged, shimmering like the first light of dawn. The fool followed it, drawn by something deeper than sight, a pull of the soul toward something beyond despair. Then came the star, radiant and pure.
Hope remains,
she sang. The fool drank from her light, renewed. With newfound clarity, the fool continued forward, the gentle glow of the star still lingering in their heart. The path led them to a serene lake, its surface reflecting the heavens above. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of dew and the faint hum of night creatures stirring. As they walked along the water's edge, a quiet peace surrounded them, as if the world itself had paused to breathe. But soon, that peace began to waver. A mist rose from the lake, curling like ghostly fingers, veiling the path ahead. Shadows stretched unnaturally, shapes shifting in the corner of the fool's vision. The gentle glow of the stars dimmed as an eerie stillness took hold, the air thick with uncertainty. Yet darkness followed. The moon cast illusions, twisting reality.
Not all is as it seems,
she warned. The fool tread carefully, trusting intuition. The path ahead wove through a dreamlike landscape where shadows shifted and whispers echoed from unseen places. The fool walked cautiously, relying not on their eyes but on an inner sense, feeling their way through the uncertain night. Strange visions flickered before them, memories, fears, and desires entwined, testing their resolve. As they pressed on, the haze began to thin, the illusions dissolving like mist at dawn. A faint warmth kissed the horizon, and the sky slowly softened from midnight blue to the first hints of morning. With each step, the darkness faded, giving way to the promise of a new day. At last, the sun blazed in triumph.
Joy, clarity, and truth are yours,
it proclaimed. The fool danced beneath golden rays, their heart light. The warmth of the sun lingered as the fool continued their journey, the path now clear and open before them. No longer burdened by doubt or fear, they walked with confidence, their steps light upon the earth. Fields of golden wheat swayed gently in the breeze, and birds soared overhead, singing of freedom and new beginnings. But as they walked, a distant sound grew louder, a deep, resonant call that echoed through the land. The sky shifted, the golden hues of day giving way to something vast and powerful. The fool felt a stirring within, as if something long dormant was awakening. The air grew charged with anticipation, the moment of reckoning near. But still a reckoning awaited, judgment sounded its call.
Awaken, become who you were meant to be.
The fool answered, stepping forward without fear. With each step, the echoes of the past faded, and the weight of the journey lifted. The fool felt lighter, as if their very essence had been refined by all they had endured. The road stretched before them, vast and open, yet there was no uncertainty now, only a quiet knowing. As they walked, the land around them shifted, no longer bound by the familiar. The sky shimmered with countless possibilities, the ground pulsed with life, and the air hummed with an unseen harmony. It was as if every lesson, every challenge had led to this moment, this place. Finally, they arrived at the world. A great circle encompassed them, all things in harmony. The fool had completed their journey, but with every ending comes a new beginning. As they stood within the circle, the fool felt the universe itself breathe, a rhythmic pulse of completion and renewal. Everything they had learned, every challenge they had faced, wove together into a single unified truth. The journey was whole. And yet, something stirred beyond the horizon, just out of reach. A path unseen, a whisper of something more. The fool turned toward it, drawn not by curiosity alone, but by a deep knowing that their story was not yet over. The light of the world faded behind them as they stepped forward into the unknown. Yet beyond the world's edge, something remained. A void stretched before them. It revealed nothing, spoke nothing. Silence enveloped the fool, pressing against their mind like a forgotten dream. No future was given, no past reclaimed, only emptiness.
Not all is meant to be known,
an unseen force whispered. The fool hesitated, understanding that some answers must wait, shrouded in mystery. Then, 3 radiant figures emerged from the darkness, their flowing garments shimmering like stardust. They were the keepers of destiny. The fate stood before the fool, an eternal loop hanging above them. One woman wove golden threads, another measured them, and the last cut them with silver shears.
Fate is neither kind nor cruel.
They spoke in unison.
It simply is.
The fool felt their presence weigh upon them, the infinite cycle turning.
Is the path mine to walk?
He asked. The 3 women smiled. Their answer was a resounding yes. Fortune smiled upon them, the universe aligned. If reversed, the answer was an unshakable no. Destiny itself denied them passage. The fool understood. Fate was absolute. And so, he and his loyal dog named Sera took another step, ready to wander once more, guided by the unseen hand of destiny.